TF, Cool FM 93.3 and WTTF.com, and welcome to our viewers on our YouTube channel as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by CF Professionals Incorporated, Gary Gruse's office, Ohio Mutual Insurance Group, Jim Kennedy's office, State Farm Insurance, Ed Lape's office, Steyer Seeds, Tiffin Ace Hardware, the Animal Hospital of Tiffin, and Ohio, or CF Professionals Incorporated, Gary Gruse's office. My name is Russ Snyder. I'm joined now by Tiffin University head football coach Gary Goff. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Like we said just a few minutes ago, can you believe we're heading into the final, or part of the final week of the regular season already?
Yeah, I can't. I tell you what, the season has flown by.
Yeah, well, it means we're having some fun, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's get started here. We had one of the best teams in the country, best team in the GLIAC, number 5 team in the country, Ashland, come to town last weekend, and they got your kids, but your kids didn't go down without a fight, that's for sure.
No, very, very proud of the guys. I mean, we fought all the way to the end, and that's been the story of the whole season. So that's very, very encouraging. But, we knew with Ashland coming in, they're one of the best teams in the country, very, very talented team, and we knew we were going to have to play, a perfect game, to hang in there with them. And, I felt like we left a lot of plays out there on the field. Yeah. But, their quarterback, Taylor Housewright, he had a chance to break the national record at all divisions on, the most pass attempts without throwing an interception. And
it was the first week of October of 2011, the last time he threw one.
That's right, yes.
370-some attempts, so that's pretty amazing.
He's a great player. He's been there in their system for 3 years. Lee Owens was telling me there before the game, he's a hard worker. He called him at 10:30 at night talking about, plays. Yeah. So that's
he's
kind
built like a linebacker, too. He's a big kid.
He's a big kid, and that's the kind of guy you want to lead your program.
Yeah.
He's a competitor and a winner. But he's a great player. He's got, like I said last week, he's got a lot of moxie to him. He'll get out there and check plays here and there and give you dummy signals and make all the throws. So he was impressive. Their defensive line, they had their tackle there was Jamie Meter, who was, he's a giant. He's a junior who's declaring for the draft.
Is he going to?
He is declaring.
Well, we talked about him last week, and he was a very impressive player. And he did a good job of taking care of things on the line and clearing things up for their linebackers and make a ton of tackles.
Yeah, Cody Bloom, the middle linebacker, he had 17 tackles against us, and that guy was everywhere. And, but we knew they're a very, very talented team. You're not going to start a season off 9-0 and not be very good, especially in this conference. But we did battle all the way to the end. We had a chance right there to get back in the game, and thought we were. And we had, unfortunately, a few snaps get away from us and kind of cost us from getting back into that game.
There's a goofy situation all day on Saturday as a squirrel happens to mess up a transformer, and half of the town was out of power. We got power, probably about 40 minutes before kickoff, so everything was kind of up in the air at the start of the game. We kind of got everything started in a goofy way.
Well, it's funny because the officials came over to us before the game and said, all right, we don't have any power. We're going to keep the clock on the field. We're going to have some walkie-talkies with some guys walking beside you to let you know how much time's left on the clock. And then the play clock, we're going to have an official stand in the middle of the field, and he'll just wave at your quarterback. And once it gets down to 5 seconds, he'll start counting it off kind of like a basketball official. And, I kind of looked at him and Lee Owens and said, wait a minute now, you want my quarterback to read one of the best defenses in the country and then find you and you count it down? And they all started laughing. And about 5 minutes later, the scoreboard came back on so I could breathe. Yeah,
well, it's got to be kind of goofy because there's so much communication that's predicated on having power, between the press box down to the field and from you guys out to the players on the field. It has to throw just everything into a loop. But at least, both teams would have to deal with it. But still, it's got to make everything kind of tricky.
Yeah, well, definitely. And, one of our game plans was to go in there and control the ball and really wind the clock all the way down to about 5 seconds and snap it because we wanted to keep their offense off the field because they're very talented. And so right there before kickoff, we're sitting there asking each other, okay, how are we going to milk this clock all the way down?
Yeah, no doubt. But, the Dragons, Dan Pitt, the quarterback, had a very nice game, 29-43 for over 300 yards, 322 to be exact, and a touchdown. And he's going to join us after a bit, but a very nice game from Dan.
He is. And like I've said the last few weeks, Dan has gotten better every week.
Absolutely.
And he really has stepped into that position, become a leader for not only the offense, but for the team, and is really growing as a quarterback. I wish I had him for another year because he's been very productive. We had a few injuries on offense. Kevin Humphrey stepped in again at tailback for Dominic White and James Hall. and ended up scoring 2 touchdowns for us, and ran the ball very effectively. And then we had Marcus Burham, who we put out there at split end because Obadiah Dykes was out.
Yes, yeah.
And Marcus Burham had 8 catches for 110 yards, and he had a great football game. We're going to continue to put the ball in his hands out there wide. So
yeah, and he's going to join us after a bit as well. Yeah, it was nice to see Marcus have that big game. We saw him have a couple flashes of having a big game last season. It was really nice to see him put it together.
Yeah,
him and Dan had a nice thing going.
He's a very talented young man, and he's a transfer from Bowling Green, and he's going to be a great receiver for us. He's just a sophomore right now, so he's learning, as well. But yeah, him and Dan kind of got on the same page there for about a quarter and a half, and we're really difficult to stop.
Yeah. Also, the Dragons fall to Ashland, but everybody's fallen to Ashland this year, and they go into their final game of the regular season. They have another game that should be able to handle. They got Notre Dame at home, so Ashland looks to be able to wind up this regular season undefeated and head into the national tournament. Maybe put a run together like Wayne State did out of Detroit last week.
Yeah, they're very capable of doing that. Lee Owen's been there. This is his 9th season there. They've got a great program they've established, and they're doing all the right things right now. And they're not making any mistakes, and they're playing defense. And anytime you got a defense that is that good at all levels, they got a safety in the Gamble kid who's a transfer from Illinois, is a great player, the linebacker and Cody Bloom, and then Jamie Meter, and not to mention there's 3 other defensive linemen that are kind of overshadowed by Meter that are very good players. But anytime you got that type of defense, you got a chance in every game. And obviously the playoffs is a brand new season, but they're capable. And we might have given them a little bit of a wake up call. The score was a little bit closer than what it seems. They were ready to be upset. They really were. We wish we had 5 plays back after watching the film.
Yeah.
And if
I think I can figure them out on the top of my head.
Well, one is the snap on the punt that we lost, and then the other one is a snap going in to make it a 14-21 ball game right before half. But with that said, we got in there, it was 28-14, and we're still right there in the football game, and you have 5 plays that you can take back and do over, and it's a different game, and it's just some part of the growing pains we're going through right now, but our kids fought to the very end. They're still with us, and they know that we're right there. We're so close to being a great team.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. Ashland's a very good program, and heck, they're the best in our conference right now. So I hope they do go deep in the playoffs. We're pulling for them.
We talk about the growing pains you're going through. I was looking at the roster when I'm doing the game. I always highlight the players that once I say their names, so I can find them easily. I think at one point in the fourth quarter, there have been 42 Dragon players that I had mentioned. 6 were seniors. That's it. And over 20 were freshmen.
Oh, gosh.
So that's...
Don't tell me that. I'm trying to get over that.
Well, hey, it is what it is, right? I mean, that's part of the growing pains. The young team that you have, and it all goes back to the offensive line. The offensive line, starting those real young kids, has really made some improvements. I thought they pretty well held their own. I mean, you've seen film on this game, but I thought they held their own in this game.
They did. There's not a better defensive lineman they're going to see. And maybe in the next 3 years there might be a defensive line not that well. But, Max Pollum, a warrior. I mean, he is a true freshman. We kind of joke with him right now. You're not a freshman anymore. You're a sophomore, But he is a warrior. I mean, he was banged up pretty good and would not come out. They just wanted to take him out and look at him. He's, no. Who are y'all going to put in?
Yeah.
That was his comment to the trainer. And then on the other side, the other left tackle, Marcello Brown.
Yeah.
He got a finger in the eye.
Yeah.
And it was almost swollen shut. He looked like he was a boxer.
Oh, wow.
And same thing. It's like, I'm fine, coach. I'm in. So,
that's the mentality you want on an offensive line, though, isn't it?
Oh, exactly. And for 2 true freshmen to already starting to talk like that and act like that is great.
See it on his face. He's getting a little bit of a grin there as he's talking about it. It's got to excite you for what the future could hold for those young men.
Everything starts with up front. Everything. I don't care if you run on the wing tee, the air raid. It does not matter. It all starts with the big man. And, every week, the opposing coach and me speak before the game, and we always compliment each other. And, I think for the last 3 weeks, the opposing coaches have said, Coach, your offensive line is as big as the Green Bay Packers, or Coach, y'all are going to be great because your offensive line is huge and very good. Or, they're all looking at their offensive line going, whoa, wait a minute. They got freshmen that good?
Yep. You take this young team and, we go through the growing pains. We've been a lot more productive than we were last year. And that leads us into the final week of the regular season. Lake Erie College coming to town this weekend. How important is it going to be for your kids to go out there, starting with play 1, finish this last game strong as we build towards finish up this year and into next year?
Oh, very, very. I mean, this is our Super Bowl. This is our playoff game. Lake Erie is very, very similar to us. They're playing some young guys here and there. They're got a new defensive scheme. They're trying to figure out still. So they're kind of up and down too. I don't know how many injuries they've had or if they're healthy or not. We don't share that information with our opponents, but they're a good football team on the upswing of things, but they're just like us, just like us. So, we're at home. It's senior day for us. We're going to have a great week of practice. I'm not going to let anything else happen. And we've got good game plans on both sides of the football. So, we expect to go into this weekend's game, and, both sides are going to be very emotional and playing hard because they're expecting to win too. But, hey, we're at home, and we're going to go get this win.
Well, Lake Erie comes in with a 3-7 overall record, but they have won 3 of their last 5 ball games. Last week they fell to a very good Ohio Dominican team, 44-14, but they have to have a little bit of confidence coming in with the 3 victories out of their last 5 games.
Yeah, they offensively they got a very nice run game, and they do throw it around quite a bit. They're about 50-50. Defensively they're giving up about 473 yards a game, so that's something we got to capitalize on right there. And the same recipe always for a win, is win the turnover battle and don't give up the, rushing yardage, control the running game.
It always goes back to, we say it every week, Coach, it's not about what Lake Erie is going to do, it's about what Tiffin University Dragons are going to do.
This is all about Tiffin. There's no question about that.
Well, last weekend in the GLIAC, let's take a look at some of the scores from last weekend. Grand Valley State, maybe they're one of their better defensive performances of the year, holding Wayne State down to 13 points. We've seen Grand Valley giving up a ton of points this year, but they've sneaked back into the top 25 and got a big 35-13 victory over Wayne State.
Yeah, Grand Valley's they're hard to figure out.
I was going to say the same exact thing.
Down, but you know what? I think they're down to their third-string quarterback. They lost their starter against us, and against Northern Michigan, they lost their backup quarterback and had to throw a guy into the game that hadn't taken snaps all season.
Okay.
So maybe they've got that role figured out, and the guy's getting a little bit better behind the center there.
And also last week, Michigan Tech over Hillsdale, 42-14. Michigan Tech still is a pretty nice football team up there.
They're a good team, no question about it. Hillsdale, I think, lost the last 2 weeks, but to 2 really good football teams. So, Michigan Tech is that quarterback's only a sophomore, and they're going to be good for years to come as well.
Northwood over Ferris State in a barn burner, 38-33 up in Ferris.
A little bit of a shocker to me right there.
Yeah.
Because Ferris State's a really good football team as well, and Northwood, they hadn't put that many points on that many people all season, really. So that was a little bit of a shocker. I don't know what's going on with Ferris now.
Northern Michigan, maybe a team who's improved as much as anybody in the GLIAC here in the second half of the season.
No
a 33-28 victory over Saginaw Valley.
No question. I mean, we've seen it on film from the beginning of the season. They figured some things out because I don't think anybody in the world would have thought that could have happened right there.
Yeah. And Notre Dame gets a victory over Walsh, 31-28 as well last week. And Findlay, 38-14 over Malone.
Yeah, no surprise. Findlay's a good football team. The Notre Dame and Walsh game, I thought they were both evenly matched. That could have went either way.
Sure. And then, as we said, Ohio Dominican, a 44-14 victory over Lake Erie. And that leads us into the final week of the regular season. Our Tiffin Dragons will host Lake Erie at 1:30. And if you are coming to the game, it's the Tiffin University Football Tailgate and Community Day, sponsored by Tiffin University Sports Management Club and the Athletic Department. There'll be snacks, games, cornholes type games, face painting, prizes, raffling off gift baskets and things. You can send a team off from the Heminger Center down to Frost County Stadium as a big group. That starts this Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Heminger Center. Then everyone going to the stadium, and all the children who attend will get to go into the game, go to the tailgate, then into the game for free. And kids are invited to be on the field before the game to stand by the big inflatable dragon as we welcome the Tiffin University Dragon football team out on the field. So if you're going to be in town, come early and get the kids down there and make it a day with Tiffin University Dragon football this coming Saturday. Ohio Dominican at home with Malone at 1 o'clock. The other early games this weekend are Northern Michigan at home against Ferris State, Ashland at home against Notre Dame. Saginaw Valley will host Grand Valley State as well. And this is a weird week for the GLIAC. We're the latest start time. 1:30. There's usually a few 7 o'clock games. Elsewhere, it's Wayne State at home against Michigan Tech. Hillsdale travels to Northwood, and Walsh will host Findlay to close the regular season out this week.
Yeah, the Grand Valley State versus Saginaw will be very, very interesting because that's 2 great football teams.
That's 1 against 2 in the Northern.
Yeah, and if Saginaw is to win that means that Northern Division, everybody's got 3 losses. There might only be 1 team from the GLIAC make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So and that's obviously being Ashland.
Yep. Well, we got some guests who are going to join us just a little bit. Dan Pitts, your quarterback, and Marcus Bierum, wide receiver. So we'll go ahead and take a break and check and see if those young men are here. We'll give you a chance to meet those 2 young Tiffin University Dragon football players. You're listening to the Gary Goff Show here on WTTF, Cool FM 93.3, and WTTF.com on the Tiffin University Football Dragon Radio Network.